I can hear the heads exploding already. A majority of Republicans say they want President Trump to run again in 2024. That's according to a new poll that finds 54% of GOP voters want to see Trump stage the political comeback of a lifetime. But in the meantime, the president giving his blessing to the Biden transition process while still vowing to keep up his legal fight. Quote, "Remember, the GSA has been terrific, and Emily Murphy has done a great job. But the GSA does not determine who the next president of the United States will be." Here's more from the president today.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average just broke for the first time in history 30,000. It's now, that's good. It's great for jobs and it's good for everything. With the vaccines now coming out one after another, it's an incredible thing that happened. One of the greatest medical achievements that this planet has ever seen.
So you're pretty confident he runs again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, an overwhelming percentage of Republicans do not buy this election when you ask them. They think it's fraudulent. But 30% of Republicans feel the same way.
What, Democrats?
Democrats feel the same way about it. They think that Joe Biden stole the election.
And they're okay with it.
And it makes me sick. Anyway, but to this point, 2024, this is the sequel, right? And for a sequel, you need a break that's long enough to make you miss the first 4 years, right? So you get the first you have the excitement of the first movie, Trump, 2020, and then you yearn for part two, but you need that part in between where Joe Biden poops the bed. You know, he might even bring a new war in, high taxes. He might allow crime and unemployment to soar. So Trump will end up cruising back into the White House fairly easily. This is why I know that Trump supporters are upset about the outcome of the election and the media's hand in this. But this might end up being better than you might expect for one reason. If Trump had remained in 2020, the odds are there would have been a massive scandal to hobble him, because that's what happens. The second term, you had Watergate, you had Monica Lewinsky, you had Iran-Contra, you had others I space on. So how do you beat a second term? 2 first terms.
He had a lot of scandals in the first term.
Yeah, with a really boring-ass intermission in between, so people look, he's back! Awesome. Even the press, Jeff Zucker will go, thank God he's back.
Dana, the press does love a rematch. And I think maybe if they do cover Biden for 4 years or cover up for him, that, they're going to be itching to get Trump back in the ring and a big collision all over again.
I think a lot of reporters longed to be bored. They didn't want to wake up on Sunday morning and go, oh my gosh, here we go again. I mean, they never had a break. But I think that, boredom, when that sets in after a while, you're like, then you want something else. And I think that President Trump, he will have a big platform. He will have a lot of influence. The first influence you'll see is, I imagine, him weighing in on the Georgia Senate races.
Yeah.
That would be kind of the first test. But what this also does, however, is there are a lot of 2024 Republican hopefuls. Mm-hmm. And now they are all playing freeze tag in Georgia.
Yep.
Because they don't want to make a move if they think they're going to make him mad. So that will stifle a lot of Republicans for a while.
You're right about that. What do you think the argument would be? So let's just say the economy kind of wobbles around for the next 4 years. Trump can come back and say, listen, I can get this thing back humming again like I did. And hey, I was the one that delivered the vaccines. That's a pretty strong argument if that plays out.
Absolutely. It makes complete sense to me that you would see over 50% think that Trump would be the front runner. And then I think the second runner up to that would be Mike Pence. And that makes sense. That's who people have had. And we can't forget the fact, Joe Biden so far has won by 6.5 million more votes, but Trump got 10 million more votes than he did the time before. So there are plenty of people in the country who thought that the last 4 years were hunky-dory, or they didn't want to change from it. And I don't know if the next 4 years of normalcy, a third Obama term, is going to change their mind about that. Right. But watching Republicans deal with the Trump legacy, like Dana said, is going to be the most fascinating part of it. Trump has already tweeted about Kelly Loeffler and left David Perdue off of one tweet. There are people who are saying they should write in Trump in the Georgia Senate runoffs, which is obviously incredibly dangerous for those candidates on the ballot. And he will play kingmaker for the next 4 years because people will continue to run in his legacy because it has worked down ballot. It just didn't work at the top of the ticket.
And if Biden governs like a lot of people think he might, he can invite a challenge, maybe a primary challenge that can weaken him and then really have President Trump come in and
That is
attack
such a
someone.
fantasy.
It's my fantasy.
I'm glad we're all here for it.
Let
How
me
dare you
fantasize.
insult his fantasy?
Bernie already said he'll think about it if Biden doesn't govern
Oh
the
my
way
gosh,
Bernie wants.
It's not
serious.
happening.
And I wouldn't put it past Bernie.
Wow.
But what could weaken the Biden administration over 4 years is just constant criticism from the back, getting shivved in the back by people on the far left,
Yeah.
like that gaggle of young gals who are currently in Congress. The press is going to try and act like Trump is irrelevant, and by trying to act that way, they're going to continue to make him relevant.
Yep.
I thought the telltale sign today, and by the way, Greg, you did call this.
Thank you.
You called it.
He's
So you know
Kagan,
exactly how to
Kagan,
butter
stop.
him up.
Yes, I'm buttering.
Everybody was talking about it.
I was first.
He just likes to claim credit for
I
it.
got ridiculed
Even
for
Trump
it.
was talking about it. Remember, third term?
Exactly.
So it dawned on
people.
me today when he walked in the White House in the briefing room and he walked in front of the mic and went, Dow 30,000 vaccines, and then walked
Yeah.
out. He didn't quite do that. But but the biggest problem for the Democrats will be, the about 74 million people who voted for Trump, in the last 4 years, they were bigoted, Nazi, racist. It's going to get worse. Those 74 million people, eat bowls of kittens for breakfast and have G-Ma and Grandpa locked up in the cellar. That's the level of loathing that you're going to hear from the left about Trump voters. So bring it on, because it gives rise to Trump.
Bring
4
it
years from now.
on.